Hey, we're going to be talking to you about Jennifer Soto. Why is she not being held accountable for what happened to her daughter? Why is she not facing any type of child neglect charges? Nothing's been levied against this woman, and she's shown that she's been complicit and that she has not taken the steps to protect her daughter. Ed, we got a lot to talk about. I want to knock this out and talk about this right up front. I was talking about the time of death for Madeline Soto. You're a crime scene unit CSI expert. You worked in the medical examiner's office. How, with Madeline Soto being recovered 5 days in the heat and the cold temperatures at night, heat during the day, can you talk to the audience a little bit about how they determine an approximate? I mean, it's not a science. It's not where they're going to get it to the minute without an eyewitness. Could you talk to the audience a little bit about that, Ed?
Yeah, but normally they use on fresh bodies, recovered immediately, they'll use rigor mortis, liver mortis, they'll use body core temperatures, they'll use vitreous fluids, they'll use a bunch of different things. But in this case, due to the fact it was 5 days later and in various stages of decomposition, it's going to be difficult to rely on those normal methods. And so what's going to end up happening here will be heavily relied upon by the video evidence and the infotainment system evidence from his vehicle.
Also, we would be looking at things like statements from roommates, as we heard in recent findings that the Angelica roommate gave a statement to the police. It's been said in her statement that when Jennifer Soto is out, she's out because she's medicating herself. That's all she talks about in these interviews. Ed?
Right. And there's also an interview with the girlfriend who said that she texts every morning and she didn't text. And so you have that time frame. So, it's Investigation 101, Homicide Investigation 101. Who was the last person to see the victim alive? And so right now, the only two people that we have are Stefan and the victim's mother.
There is the security guard at the gate who gave some valuable information about Madeline Soto. He described her as slumped over with her mouth hanging open. Hanging open in the car.
It's consistent with possibly being dead, but if someone is sleeping and has their mouth open, that's also possible. But all the indications are that she was dead. And
I found it interesting that Stephen Stearns, just a week or so prior to this homicide, he Googled types of drugs that he could use to incapacitate someone, to make somebody not combative or not conscious without killing them. And he did those Google searches on his devices. That is telling here, because how did he kill her? Did he kill her? We know the method, but where did he kill her? Did he kill her inside? Did he make her incapacitated to where she passed out and then take her out of the house over his shoulder, take her out of the house, bring her in the car and then strangle her? We'll never know because he's not going to tell the truth. And that's the fact.
Right. And now we're getting more information that it is a possible strangulation.
Yes, so many questions here. And we look at this bedroom, and the 9mm was inside this nightstand right here with no gun lock on it, just in a holster inside that nightstand.
Stearns reportedly spent the night with Madeline just before she was reported missing.
Is it normal for both of them to sleep in the same room? Sometimes. When I really need a good night's sleep, I will send them upstairs. 2
additional bedrooms rented out by other tenants are also upstairs. Detectives say they found nude photographs of one of those tenants on Stearns' cell phone. According to investigators, Stearns had placed his phone under the tenant's door, similar to this, and snapped.
Look at this freaking creep, Ed. This is what he was doing. Obviously, this isn't his phone. They're just making a demonstration here. But this is how creepy he was. He was doing this to the tenants.
Images of the naked woman in her bedroom. Detectives say Stearns' phone also contained images of him sexually molesting Madeline. According to authorities, bedding from Madeline's makeshift room downstairs can be seen in the background of those molestation videos. Detectives say this pair of men's boxer shorts found in a laundry basket in Madeline's room also appear in the sex abuse images. Crime scene investigators collected this notebook, which has sexually explicit drawings that are sketched on the same paper as algebra equations.
Some of this you can't, it's blurred out, but you could just imagine what these drawings depict, and it's not anything good, folks. And this is poor Madeline's notebooks that she'd bring back and forth to school. It breaks your heart, because this is many, many years of abuse that Madeline had to go through. And I'm starting to think that maybe at some point she thought this was normal, because if she didn't go and scream from the rooftops or reach out to people, and if she did, shame on those people for not coming forward. God only knows what happened and how many times and how often this was going on. It's just, it's sickening.
When you got back, was Stefan here? I'm pretty sure he was, yeah.
Sadly, by then, detectives believed Madeline was already dead. But where was she and what happened to her? Discovered Stearns took a mysterious round-trip drive to Southwest Florida early in the morning.
So he took that mysterious round-trip drive, as we know what happened and the fate for Madeline Soto. And this case has, through interview and interrogation, has given us such a great insight. But there's so many unanswered questions. The main unanswered question is, when did he commit this crime? Where did he commit this crime? Was it in the house? Was it in the car? And for me, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, I believe that he drugged her to make her incapacitated in that home. He made her go to sleep, but she wasn't dead. He got her out into that car and committed that crime inside that Lincoln MKZ. That's my thoughts. Ed, I don't know about you, but...
Well, she was, if it's in fact true that she was strangled to death, manually strangled, okay, hands around the neck and strangled, why would you need to incapacitate her to do that? Okay, something happened. I believe there was something that occurred in that bedroom that night after her birthday, and she wasn't putting up with any more of this. I don't think so. I think something happened. He threatened her, or she threatened him rather. She's going to give him up, and because to strangle somebody is very personal, okay, and it's up close and in person, and it takes a lot of force, okay, to do that. Now, I'd expect if she was manually strangled that her hyoid bone would be broken. So there's a lot of violence here. It's not like Hollywood, what you see on television. It takes quite some time to manually strangle somebody to death.
Right.
Okay. And there's going to be all kinds of telltale signs of this particular hemorrhaging in the lips, in the eyes, on the tongue, and so forth. So
to prove that is exactly how she succumbed to her to lose her life. I'm going to tell you why I think that he incapacitated her in that home. Number one, there's roommates and there's people in that house. There's others that we didn't hear about in these interviews, right? So if he tried to do something to her inside that house and she started screaming or kicked him in the nuts or got away from him and fought and got away, he would be busted. So this is just and again, this is speculation. I don't like to do this, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say this because I really feel in my heart that this is what happened, that he wanted her quiet. And by Googling 1 week or more before this incident, the drugs that are needed to make somebody incapacitated, that means he had the pre-planned, he premeditated, and he thought about this. And he thought about silencing her. And then if he got her in the car and she screamed, nobody could hear her. So if she was incapacitated and she might have and came and woke up in the car, he would say he's safe. It's just him and her. In the house, there's the mom, who we know now is a dead sleeper, but the mom and any of the other roommates. So to me, it's plausible, and that's just my thoughts, Ed.
Yeah, well, we need to see the toxicology, and it'll come out in trial what was in her system. You know, I mean, like Casey Anthony, she went out and Googled Benadryl and how to knock out her baby with the Benadryl. And if you give too much, you create an overdose, which was in fact the case with her.
No two crimes are the same. As we know, these psychos do things and they have their own thought process. Let me know what you think in the chat.